Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot, and welcome to a reading about all these dreams and extra energy in the fantasies that's been happening here lately. Sounds pretty mutual, sounds like it's happening maybe on both sides with the fantasies, definitely with you guys with the dreams. We're just going to go ahead and jump in and see what's happening with that because I got a lot of notes about those over the last couple of days. Like, it's been ramping up and it's been an extreme amount of notes now about dreams in the last couple of days. So we're going to go ahead and take a look and just kind of see what's happening in there. As always, it's going to be a general reading for this collective, so it's not going to resonate with everybody, and it shouldn't. But if it does resonate with you, maybe take a look at some of the other messages that have come through so far previously, and also think about subscribing because these messages are all incredibly connected. So if this is you, the other messages could be for you as well. They could be useful for you as well. The first thing that we're going to do is jump in and take a look at the energetic and emotional backdrop. We typically like to look at that. We're going to let the energy about you, the energy between the two of you seep into this as well, because I feel like there is a lot of connection between the two of you right now. It feels like an extra amount of connection between the two of you. We've got the Nine of Cups. It feels like the two of you have got each other in your energetic sights. It's a sense of knowing what it is that you want and knowing that there's like basically a whole crowded room full of energy in between. That's kind of what I get here from the Six of Wands in reverse. So we've got the Nine of Cups in the upright. That's what I want. I see what I want. I know what I want. Six of Wands in the reverse. There's a lot kind of in between. This is a battle that has not yet ended. So it's the Six of Wands in the upright is that victory after a long battle. In the reverse, sometimes it's a battle that you don't win, and in other times it's a battle that's not over. This is very much a battle that's not over. It's that sense. We have the Star card, so this is a delay before getting to the finish line. It's something that seems like it holds you up. This is a lot of... It's like when you all of a sudden see the restroom, all of a sudden, maybe if you have to go more, it's that kind of thing. It's like, you know, you're closer to the finish line and it's being more aware of what's holding you up, as opposed to there being a greater holdup. There's not a greater holdup, but there may be a greater perception of it. Things do seem a little bit quieter and just kind of in general, like you're not hearing as much from them. Not spiritually quieter, not energetically quieter. That still seems extremely loud, extremely constant. There's an effort to try and focus elsewhere on both of your parts. I can feel both of you saying, I can't continue with this. Just takes a lot of energy and I've got a lot of other things going on. So this is your person with their third party energies and them trying to figure out, how am I going to make a big happy family out of this? How am I going to make a situation that is acceptable to everyone involved, whether this is going to be third parties within like households or families, or even if it's a job situation. There's some sort of element of, I've got to figure out the shortest distance to finding peace in this situation, and that one feels pretty strong as energy coming from your person. We have the Fool. This is a little bit different from some of the energies that we've been seeing. This is a little bit of the pressure being off from the new moon. A little bit, it's like not really the pressure is off so much as it's like it's looking the other way for a moment, and there's this opportunity to try something new. And kind of like this feeling like, yeah, I could do that. I could try something new. That's a little bit on both of your sides. But it also kind of feels like, so this is something that can impact your household. It's not necessarily, this is the most neutral version of this I've ever seen. So it's not really saying that something good happens. It's not saying something bad happens. It seems like that's very much up for debate and all about the details. But there is a change that happens in your household as a result of a decision that you make. But not necessarily one that you make in a vacuum, or not necessarily, definitely not in a vacuum, and probably not even a decision that you make entirely by yourself. But with this feeling of, it could really only be described as emotional fuzziness, like I'm not sure. It's like getting cold feet at the last moment. There's this feeling of getting cold feet at the last moment as you're working toward a decision, and it's not even so much that you know how much it's going to impact your life, it's just that you know that it's going to impact your life. With this, we also have the Four of Pentacles that comes in the reverse. In the reverse here, it's a sense of being able to let things go a little bit more easily, or not more easily, better at it. You're better at it than maybe you are in some of the other energies. So this is good energy for walking away from something that no longer supports your lifestyle. If you want to quit smoking, today's the day. The Tower card here, well, something's changing. Something's coming to change, and you have choices about the way you behave with it, whether you want to try and overpower it and control the change, or whether you want to roll with it. You're encouraged to do a little bit of gentle guidance of the change, but generally to roll with it. It's ultimately going to lead you to a very good place. We're not going to pull this card, but it is an honorable mention. This is the Devil in reverse. And basically it's telling you that your progress, and we saw this in yesterday's reading, but your progress is such that you're going to have some benefit from what you've already learned. You're going to get triggered. You're going to come into a situation where, you see something that you weren't necessarily expecting, or you learn something, you see the edge of something maybe that you weren't necessarily expecting, but you're going to make short work of it. And you're also going to be able to identify what energy is yours and what isn't. But you're better at that in this energy. I think it's a matter of just slowing things down a little bit, because one of the things that we saw in like yesterday's reading was that there was this tendency to kind of second guess or not be so trusting of what you're hearing from your intuition. Here, though, I get the sense that you're going to have that kind of constant influx of messages from your intuition. And the better you are at working with it, reasoning with it, you could even negotiate with it if you want to, as long as you recognize what it is that the conversation, you have to be incredibly respectful. But there's a lot kind of happening here that you could absolutely choose to take in your favor. The only thing is, sometimes taking things in your favor also means learning bigger lessons. So it could be a bigger experience as well, but you're going to have some control over that. And so that's kind of a neat thing. But with the two of you, your energy is almost like facing each other. Sometimes you guys are back to back and it's like you against the world, but you're almost not even, when you're not facing each other, there's this sense of not being able to even focus on each other. In this, I get that you're facing one another energetically, but you're not necessarily able to make that connection on the physical plane. And so you end up with this feeling, this exaggerated feeling of not being able to reach completion, not being able to reach each other, but it's exaggerated because you're closer and because you're more in a position to be able to do something positive. But they feel extra quiet in this energy. To be sure. So let's go ahead and get into the question for the day, which is really about these extreme dreams and fantasies. What is driving this? What's behind this? Why all of a sudden are we seeing so many really intense dreams? It's not just dreams. It'll be dreams where you find peace with each other, dreams where you distinctly do not find peace with each other. I've heard them all here in the last few days, or at least I've heard an awful lot of them. And it's not a new concept. Judgment, this is that judgment we saw in yesterday's reading, and it's the sense of coming to a place of realization, not necessarily passing judgment, though. So that's a little bit different, because sometimes when you see the Judgment card in the upright, it feels like passing judgment. In this case, it doesn't necessarily feel like passing judgment, but it does kind of feel like with this Queen of Wands here, there is something going on with how things get done. This is do they run roughshod over things to get to what they want, or do they think carefully about what the implications are going to be, and this is almost that feeling of getting there any which way you can. And I guess the way it translates to this, I don't want to put words into, okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and say what I'm getting from this, but I will also tell you what I'm not getting. So I feel like this person is sending you these dreams, but not intentionally. Like they're not saying, they're not going to bed with the intention of, ooh, I'm going to connect with my partner tonight. I'm going to connect with my soulmate, my twin, and we're going to have this dream. Like it's not like that. However, when they are in their astral place, they are reaching out to you and they are expressing what they have a hard time expressing in the 3D. And so sometimes you see that vulnerability from them. Even sometimes just these glimpses have been trying to come out. And you may see a glimpse of that vulnerability. But what's hiding behind it is a much broader pool of emotion. So much love. So much love. This is the love that you owe yourselves. Like that's what I feel in this. This is the love that you owe yourselves that should make up your foundation. And to a certain degree it does, but you're pointing it at them. So now here's that devil card in the reverse. You're helping to solve each other's problems and you're actually making each other better. Okay. But it's so awkward sometimes when you get into, the emotions that happen as a result of being in each other's energetic spheres without actually being in each other's physical spheres so much. They've got still so much fear of actually coming in contact. They're being incredibly quiet as you perceive them to be. But it's partially because of the way that they see you. So they've got this sense of you being like this safety, this warmth of home, this nurturing sort of energy. And that's this Queen of Pentacles. That's what they're seeking. That's what they're coming after. That's what they're coming for when they're in, and they're getting there any which way they can. It is, again, not necessarily a feeling of control on their part, but they are very much, they're going to judgment, but not necessarily passing judgment. It's almost like they're reaching for you, grasping for you. There's this energy of needing you, but on a level that they usually don't. And so, you know, we've talked about the energy ramping up. We've talked about it getting more intense here lately. And we see it kind of all over with the Six of Wands. We've got the Six of Wands here, Six of Wands there. Both of them are in places where, you know, it's like a maelstrom of activity and things still coming. It's like you're not just still in battle, you're in heavy battle with this. This is a lot of this is energy coming out in some direction, just any direction. It has to come from somewhere, and it's got that kind of, or it has to go somewhere. That's the sense that it has. It's coming out in dreams. It's coming out in fantasies. We saw a while back that your person was kind of keeping themselves sane with some of those fantasies, but that they had gotten a little out of hand. What we see here is a risk of that happening on both sides in this energy. It's uncontained. It's like uncontained and pushing against something that needs to change. So this is that third party for your person in a lot of cases, and it's like they know it. Here's that high level of awareness we saw in, if you saw yesterday's extended, then you know your person has a little bit more of an awareness, like they're having this moment of clarity, and it is a scary for them moment of clarity to be having. You know, they have a need to move through something, to get done with something, and that is the guidance that they're receiving. So you'll see the little sugar skull here that she's carrying. It's the presentation of this idea. Hey, this is what needs to happen. And what needs to happen is something changes, something goes away so that something new can emerge in its place. But unfortunately, there's so much resistance around that concept of making things change, or really even just allowing things to change, that it's just putting pressure. So you get all this pressure and then it has nowhere to go, and it's essentially coming out in these dreams. And so that's essentially what that is. It's the pressure of not having anywhere else for these super intense emotions to go. And so they are coming from your person, but they are not necessarily, they're not being super intentional about sending them. It's like overpowering them to a point where they almost can't control it. Kind of makes you, well, let's see. So I see the Creator here coming out in the reverse. This is a sense of not saying no. Okay, so the Creator is an interesting one. There are 78 cards in the traditional tarot, but in this deck there are 80 cards. They've got one card here. One of the extras is one that says no. Obviously, there's also a yes card. So this is the no card. And what we're seeing here is the no card in reverse. Sometimes what comes out for me is the Creator concept or something in the picture. And sometimes it's that little no. What's coming out for me here in the reverse is that little no. Basically, what it is saying is, this isn't a no. This isn't a no. This is something that, so there is definite resistance to making this change right now, and it's a change that is absolutely necessary in order for this not a no to turn into an active yes. However, it's still a movement in the right direction. It feels like there's very small movements. This tendency to want to go into judgment, but not really with an ability to pass it. That gets old to them really quickly, and so you start to see them retract again. You see them come out, be a little bit vulnerable, and then retract. Their energy comes back out. Sometimes makes it as far as reaching out to you, sometimes not. In some cases, you haven't heard from this person in years, but they've been doing this. You know, they've been going back and forth, and the difficult part is you can feel every bit of it. But there's nothing that you can do. You feel like you're crazy, you can't prove it. You know, this is saying here it's getting to a boiling point. So we saw in yesterday's reading that you may hear from this person, but it will be that unhealed version of them reaching out to this unhealed version of you. And so you end up, both of you, in this place where you get triggered, and you have the opportunity, as we saw, to grab your lessons by the tail, to try something new. And then there's kind of these varying levels of an ability to do that. So your person in this case is not being super open to some of the wisdom that is coming their way. I'm definitely seeing that they're resistant. They're not staying open to it. There's a change that's happening here that is relevant to this change that needs to happen here. I'm not going to suggest that they are the same change, but there's definitely something that comes along with them. So we know that there's a sense with this is the world. It's in reverse. There's a sense of something not being over. And this is in no way surprising, because here's a situation that you guys can't stop thinking about it. You can't stop dreaming about it. Can't stop the fantasies, the what ifs, the thinking about running into one another in unusual places. There was one person that, like, they were having a sense of a fantasy about being in the same place with a person, but that, like, in the fantasy they weren't aware of one another. And then they talked with their person and found out that this was like a mutual fantasy, and I thought that was really kind of interesting. I don't know that that's what's happening for most of you, but I will say that that fantasy energy is off the chain here, and so is the dream energy. There's just a lot of it here. And so we're finally getting to that place of change. We saw yesterday that the change was, it was feeling like stagnation, but it really wasn't. It was a matter of things just not actively moving to the next step on behalf, from the universe's perspective. This is starting to happen now, and these changes are part of that. With the Five of Pentacles, you'll see the healing that you've done. You'll start to be able to see, here's the part that I've accomplished. And by the way, here are the limitations. So with the King of Cups, you get that sense of limitations. This is something that, it's more that's going to be on the edge of your person's awareness, and probably a little bit more squarely in the front of your awareness, because you know you're looking for it. And you've got kind of a better ability to access those kinds of things than they do. Although theirs is really increasing. We've seen that over time, like this improving ability to be aware of what's happening in the situation. But yesterday, that it became so evident, and the energy was so prevalent, that I had to ask a specific question about it. So that, if you haven't caught that extended, this was an interesting one. Just kind of give you an idea of how much they know and how much of it they can see clearly, because we always kind of wonder, and it's one of those things that's constantly changing. And with this change that's coming, it's just kind of rolling across you guys. And it's so the dream energy, the fantasy energy, it's like it's so thick you can't get through it. And that's one of the things, it reminds me of that thick energy from just a few days ago. We'll look a little bit more deeply into this when we get into the extended here in a few. So for me, it's going to be a few minutes. For you, it may be fairly immediately. And, for me as well, as soon as I get done with this, I will just go straight into the extended so that I don't lose the energy of it. Sometimes you got to walk around and take a break. This is not one of those times. I am super curious to understand what else is in this dream and fantasy energy, because the fact that they're coming to this this place of judgment, I don't think we've heard quite enough about. That's actually potentially going to produce a change. And then this emotion, we're not hearing a ton about that emotion, but we are hearing how deep it is when it comes up. So we'll look into it again and maybe even hold these out and pull on those cards specifically to start out the reading, and then just kind of see where it goes from there. We'll do another one that is relatively free form and where we're not quite sure what questions will come out, but we're starting here. So that'll be in the extended. The link is down below if you want to check that out. But before we get to that, we're going to look at you. We always like to look at your lessons and make sure that we've got lessons for you coming out and guidance for you coming out, because even if you're in a place where you're saying, listen, I'm no longer really going to worry about whether this person is coming back. And I know I've got a lot of you who are saying, I'm really just focused on what my next step is. This is that place where we look for your next step. It's where you focus in light of everything that we see here on this table. What is your area of focus? And we've seen a lot of moving in the direction of opportunity. And as I'm saying it, the official moving in the direction of opportunity, a new beginning, passionate new beginning. This is a new opportunity for you, but it is one that you may be a little bit reluctant to jump into. This is might be that one coming around again. So there was the missed opportunity where you might not even have recognized it as an opportunity. Could be coming around again here. You seem a little hesitant to move toward it in this energy, but it is, it's definitely the opportunity of something that's going to move you forward. That Two of Wands is almost the energy of travel itself. So there may not be formal travel like you get into a truck or a train or a bus or an airplane. You know, I mean, it might not be physical travel like that. It may be something that's a little bit more of an emotional distance, but I get the sense there could actually be physical travel with this one. Or at least going to a place that, like, you get into a hobby and you just love being in the place where that hobby is done. You get into, you know, woodworking and I don't know, I'm just making this up. And you decide that you want to be in a place that where woodworking is done because you love the way that it smells, or, you know, something like that. You like to make new cars out of old cars, and so you love the smell of the mechanic's shop. I mean, there's really, it's that kind of energy. It's that kind of thing that comes out. So here's the yes card. This is the Mother Star, but what I'm really feeling is the yes card. I'm actually kind of feeling a little bit of both. And this is, again, guidance, destiny, moving the way that you're supposed to go, going towards what is ultimately for you. Feel it out. So I'm trying to remember where in the most recent readings it was. It was yesterday somewhere. We got this sense of you being able to dig into your intuition and really just understand what is happening there and be able to go with it. And even in light of the fact that that kind of guidance, it might be tough to follow under yesterday's energy. Here we're seeing you're getting the hang of this. We definitely see that difficult energy lifting in today's energy. And so it's a little easier to follow that guidance, but you are encouraged to continue doing it. It's going to put you in a right direction. Allow it to let you move past this hesitancy that you feel here. There is a sense of this. So with the Eight of Swords in the reverse, there's a sense of it having moved from the upright to the reverse. So the upright is this feeling of like it's a mental prison that you put yourself in, an emotional prison that you put yourself in. You basically trap yourself in anxiety, but in a way that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. This is releasing yourself from that. You always have the opportunity to release yourself from the Eight of Swords kind of trap, but it's not always something that you know how to do until you're out of it. And then you look back and you're like, oh, that seems really obvious. Well, it's obvious after the fact. It's got that hindsight quality to it, but not always the foresight piece. You're opening yourself up to something. So we know from the energies that are out here that we've been seeing for the last couple of days that you may be more capable of this than you realize at this time. There was some injury that was done to you from this relationship that you're very much still bouncing back from. But what I see, and here's kind of that injury, what I see here is a readiness for you to move forward into a new direction, not necessarily with a new person, although I do see a new person heading your way. That new person, I almost feel like has more of a partnership quality to it, or a friendship quality, or something that has it comes in and then it morphs into something else. So it could be partnership that morphs into friendship. There's something very comfortable and down to earth about this. Has the feeling of a soulmate. Doesn't need to be a romantic one. So just something to think about. You also have the Ace of Wands showing up here. So doubling down on that Ace of Wands energy. We've got definite opportunity coming your way, definite opportunity for passionate new beginning, but not one that you are being forced into. We've seen in the past that you had a couple of opportunities coming your way and you didn't necessarily want to take both of them. Here is just confirmation that you're going to want to keep your eyes open because there are good things heading your direction, and it's a lot of it. You know, it's a lot of opportunity. And this sadness, this heartbreak that pops up serves to show you, it lights the way. It does not bring you down. There is a little bit of that element of fear that you're going to be feeling. And I feel like this came out yesterday, but it was like element of fear that you were going to be feeling, and you would be able to determine if that was coming from you or whether it was kind of a reflected energy that was coming from your person. If it is a reflected energy, I was getting the sense you're going to be able to move past it very quickly. I still get that sense. That was just the weirdest shuffling ever, but we're in the right place. So we've got Nine of Wands here. This is all about get out of your own way. That is literally the words that wants to come out with this card. So it's all about getting out of your own way, not doing self-destructive behavior to yourself. Take the time. You may not have a tendency to want to take the time to think things through, take a step back and look at that, take that big strategic look. You may be disinclined to do that, but you've got some new lessons here that truly make you better at absorbing what you're going to see when you take that step back. So you're very much encouraged to take that step back and look at the big picture. Things are going to be different. Don't get in your own way. And when you feel the fear, examine why it is, go in after it. There is a slow movement towards success that you are taking right now, but right now it seems so slow as to be almost imperceptible. This is an investment that you're making in yourself with the Seven of Pentacles. We got the Knight of Pentacles talking about that slow trip. Page of Pentacles talking about you've learned some lessons that are going to be really important to you here. And now the Seven of Pentacles, a lot of Pentacles energy, a lot of real physical energy. This is investing in yourself in a way that that helps you to grow and later, and you don't even realize how much good it does you. Like at the time you just know it's the right thing to do, or it's just what you've always done, or something like that. But it's going to help you counteract this Page of Wands energy. So you've got a little bit of a depressive energy coming your way. Like there's something that you're going to let go of. We see that over here with the Four of Pentacles, this is a good time to quit smoking. It's a good time to let go of something, but you're going to let go of something and it is going to kind of bug you. All right. So it makes you feel sad. It makes you feel a little bit like you're letting something go that is a part of yourself. And so that's where you are you're encouraged to get in there and figure out what it is that feels like it's going away, that you're making an association. It reminds me of the association your person makes with the pain that they feel and your relationship. So you didn't cause this pain, but you bring it back up for them, and that's how the triggering happens. And then they run from you. With this Knight of Wands here in the reverse, it's kind of got when you feel this depressive energy, you're going to treat it like this anxiety energy, and you're going to look a little bit more closely at it. We saw this Ace of Swords. I'm just going to take it, come up, and this Four of Swords, because that's kind of the next step, and we're done with the cards. But we've got this Knight of Wands, which is stop and think about it. This is not inconsistency energy. This is just the opposite of running towards something. This is stop and think about it when you start to feel that depression energy. Think about the healing that's happened. Think about what you've done so far. Think about where you have been and where you need to go. And then you need to also want to cultivate that trust. Thinking about cultivating that trust is going to bring you to a place of greater truth, greater forgiveness, and it's almost going to happen by itself. All you have to do is not get in your way, stay out of your way, and let it happen. May take a little bit of a strange shape. That's what I'm seeing here with the wands, the travel, the opportunity squared. Like it's really all over the place here. We're going to look into this a little bit more when we get into that extended, because this is super intensive energy. We've got the energy of what is happening kind of with the dreams. We'll get more deeply into that. And I think, like I said, we are going to take it off of these two cards. And then I think we're going to take yours off of this card. This is that Ace of Wands. We're going to just start with those and we're going to go to the extended from those. The rest of them will get shuffled back into the deck and we'll see what else wants to come out to deepen the messages. So might even grab another deck to kind of put in here and get in deeper, and we'll see how it goes. In fact, I'm quite certain I already know which deck it's going to be. So I'll see you in the extended if you want to meet me there. Otherwise, I will see you in tomorrow's reading.